In modern society, plastics have become an essential part of our daily lives. However, it is becoming increasingly clear that these convenient materials pose a serious threat to our health and the environment. In particular, the effects of microplastics on our bodies are very shocking, and research results on this matter are continuously being released. Microplastics refer to small plastic particles that are less than 5 millimeters in size. They exist in two main forms. One is primary microplastics that are initially small, such as microbeads used mainly in cosmetics and detergents. The other is secondary microplastics that are created when larger plastic products break down in the environment. These microplastics exist in the water we drink, the food we eat, and even the air we breathe. The most direct effect of microplastics on our bodies occurs in the digestive system. Microplastics that we ingest through food or water can cause various problems as they pass through the gastrointestinal tract. First, microplastics can disrupt the balance of intestinal microorganisms. Recent studies have shown that the composition of intestinal microorganisms in laboratory animals exposed to microplastics significantly changed. This can lead to a weakened immune system, inflammatory bowel disease, and metabolic disorders. What is even more shocking is that microplastics can pass through the intestinal wall and enter the bloodstream. In the case of nanoplastics that are very small in size, they can easily pass through the intestinal wall. Microplastics that enter the bloodstream can circulate throughout the body and affect various organs. In particular, they can accumulate in the liver, kidneys, and lungs, causing inflammatory reactions and deteriorating organ functions. The effects on the brain cannot be overlooked. There are research results that microplastics can pass through the blood-brain barrier. This is a very concerning finding. Microplastics that enter the brain can cause neurotoxicity and increase the risk of neurodegenerative diseases, such as Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. They can also cause inflammatory reactions in the brain, causing mental health problems such as cognitive decline, depression, and anxiety. Another risk of microplastics is that they act as carriers of other harmful substances. Various pollutants can be absorbed on the surface of microplastics. Heavy metals, persistent organic pollutants, crops, antibiotic-resistant bacteria, etc., can enter our bodies along with microplastics. This poses additional health risks. In addition to the toxicity of microplastics themselves, hormone disruption is also one of the major risks of microplastics. Chemicals such as bisphenol A, BPA, and phthalates used in many plastic products are known as endocrine disruptors. They can disrupt our body's hormonal system, causing reproductive dysfunction, thyroid dysfunction, and metabolic diseases. Fetuses and young children are particularly vulnerable to these substances, which can seriously affect their growth and development. The effects of microplastics on the immune system are also noteworthy. Studies have shown that immune cell activity and increased inflammatory responses in laboratory animals exposed to microplastics. This can increase the risk of autoimmune diseases and reduce resistance to infections. There are also studies showing that it can worsen allergic reactions. Another risk of microplastics is that they can cause cancer. Some studies report that exposure to microplastics can cause DNA damage and increase oxidative stress, which can increase the risk of cancer. In particular, there are concerns that the risk of colon cancer and breast cancer can increase. The effects of microplastics on the cardiovascular system cannot be overlooked. Microplastics that enter the bloodstream can cause inflammation in the lining of blood vessels and promote blood clots. This can increase the risk of cardiovascular diseases, such as heart disease and stroke. There are also studies showing that microplastics can reduce the ability of the blood to carry oxygen, which can lead to a decline in overall bodily functions. The dangers of microplastics are especially serious for fetuses and young children. Microplastics that can be passed on to the fetus through the placenta can have serious effects on the development of the fetus. It can increase the risk of brain development disorders, congenital malformations, and low birth weight. They can also be passed on to the baby through breast milk, so the effects can continue even after birth. The long-term effects of microplastics are not yet fully understood. As human lifespans increase, the amount of microplastics that accumulate throughout life and the effects of this are still unknown. Some scientists have likened this to a time bomb and warn that it can cause cause serious health problems in the future. The seriousness of the microplastic problem is all the more evident because it is pervasive throughout our lives. Microplastics exist in the water we drink, the food we eat, the cosmetics we use, and even the air we breathe. According to recent studies, the average person consumes the equivalent of a credit card's worth of plastic a week. This is a shocking number. To solve the microplastic problem, efforts are needed at the individual, societal, and international levels. Individually, we can reduce the use of single-use plastics and choose reusable products. It is also helpful to avoid products containing microplastics and choose products made from natural materials. As a society, we need policies to reduce the use of plastics and promote recycling. We need to strengthen regulations on single-use plastic products and encourage companies to develop environmentally friendly alternatives. We also need to improve sewage treatment facilities to prevent microplastics from leaking into the environment. Internationally, we need a joint response to plastic pollution. We need to reach an international agreement to reduce marine plastic pollution and support developing countries to improve their waste management systems. The microplastic problem is a matter of our health and the future of our planet. This is not just an environmental issue, it is a public health crisis. We need to recognize the seriousness of this problem and respond proactively. Protecting our health and environment from microplastics is the responsibility of the current generation and a duty for future generations. In conclusion, the impact of microplastics on our bodies is very extensive and serious. Almost every system in our bodies, including the digestive system, respiratory system, nervous system, immune system, and endocrine system, can be affected by microplastics. This is not just a simple health issue. It can be seen as a problem directly related to the survival of humanity. We are now at a point where we need to fundamentally reconsider our use of plastics. Plastics that we have been using indiscriminately for convenience are ultimately threatening our health and lives. This suggests that we need to seriously think about our lifestyles, consumption patterns, and even the sustainability of our civilization. The microplastic problem is complex and not easy to solve. However, if we recognize the seriousness of this problem and work together, we can make a difference. For our health and the future of the planet, we must start taking action now.